What's going on, guys? So today I'm doing a little bit of cooking. It's actually lunchtime, but Christina and I are going to have a proper Jersey breakfast for lunch. So if you're not from New Jersey or never stopped in New Jersey, we're having a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich, which is something I grew up with since I grew up in Jersey. Now, right off the bat, some of you people from South Jersey mostly are saying it's not Taylor ham, it's pork roll. Now, technically, the meat is pork roll. All right, it's an ongoing joke, I suppose, but some people actually get serious about it. Taylor ham is a brand of pork roll. It does actually taste a little different because it's a specific brand, kind of like if you had Coca-Cola versus RC Cola. They're both cola, right? But Coca-Cola has a better flavor, in my opinion. So Taylor ham branded pork roll is better, in my opinion. However, we were in Jersey. We stopped at a ShopRite. Ended up getting a pack of this, just 6 slices, just to make 2 sandwiches. Usually I'd like to get like an actual large roll of pork roll, slice it up myself and have a bunch of it. But anyway, this is going to be really simple, short and to the point. If you've never had pork roll before, you have to have it. It's absolutely delicious. It's my favorite breakfast meat. It is a Jersey thing, so everyone in New Jersey, if you go to any diner, any restaurant, they always have it. Sometimes they'll call it pork roll, sometimes they'll call it Taylor ham. Just depends on where you go. But it's kind of in between, I would say. I don't know, it's like a combination of bacon and Spam and like Canadian bacon. It's its own thing. It really is its own thing, but it has such a wonderful flavor. It is phenomenal. It's awesome. So if you've never had it, I highly encourage you to go seek it out. And you could probably buy it on the internet, even if you're way out somewhere and never even heard of it before. You could find it online. But this is the classic New Jersey breakfast. But today we're having it for lunch. So first thing I need to do is cut the meat. All right, let's take it out of our package here. All right. Use my wife's little Portuguese paring knife here. Alright. Actually, first thing I want to do is wash my hands. Okay, that's better. You should always wash your hands first. Alright, so take your meat. Now, if you're not from New Jersey, you'd probably throw this right in the pan and start cooking it. But you have to make some slits, alright, like a cross. And the reason for this is because as this cooks, it's going to want to dome up. All right, so it would puff up almost like a half circle. By making these cuts as it cooks, it spreads out. Those little slits open up a little bit, but it keeps constant contact. This way the whole surface will brown up. All right, so I use just a little bit of cooking spray just to make sure it's not going to stick. Sometimes when you have the meat cooking a little bit longer, it gets a little darker, it will tend to stick to the pan a little bit. But there is enough fat in there. You probably can get away with it if you use a nice like cast iron skillet that's well seasoned or something. But anyway, what we're going to do is just brown this up. Flip it over, brown the other side, and then we'll talk about the next step once we get there. All right, so these have been cooking on medium heat for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. Now, as I mentioned before, you have to make those slits, and you can see why. This meat, as it cooks, it's starting to spread out a little bit. Again, if you didn't have the slits in there, they would just be little domes, and the ends would be cooked, and the inside would be off the pan, and looking how it did when you took it out of the package. So at this point, all I'm going to do is flip them over. All right, see, one side has color on it. Actually going to take the one in the middle and slide it over, since that gets a little bit more heat than the other ones. Alright, then we're going to do the important part of adding the cheese, so by the time the back cooks, the cheese will be nice and melted. Now here's a really important tip. If you're making these, the cheap processed American cheese that no one likes is actually best for this particular thing. I actually only have 2 pieces left, so I'm going to be using cheddar on mine. It just doesn't come out as good. The cheap, crappy, like Kraft Singles or store brand American processed cheese really is best for this because it's just how I grew up with it. It just tastes better that way. It melts better, the whole thing. But anyway, at this point, you just want to put on your cheese. All right, so I'm just going to split this up amongst a couple different pieces here. All right, let that start melting as the bottom of the meat cooks. All right, so I'll put that for Christina and a couple of these pieces. Leave that one there. And put on some cheddar for me. Again, the cheddar doesn't melt as well for this application, but it'll be fine. Sometimes cheese is just cheese. Alright, that's pretty much it. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. That's how I like it. Obviously, I don't like pepper, don't add it. but the meat itself has plenty of salt in it. For God's sakes, don't salt this meat. However, I will tell you, when you're in Jersey and you're ordering one of these sandwiches, the person behind the deli counter or restaurant or whatever, diner, they're going to ask you if you want salt, pepper, ketchup. That is a common response to I'm going to have a tail ham, egg, and cheese sandwich or a pork roll sandwich. That's total preference. Sometimes I got salt, pepper, ketchup. It tends to be too salty. Sometimes I would literally just do pepper and ketchup. But that's a common topping, I suppose, for the sandwich. So, that's pretty much it. We're just going to let that cheese melt a little bit and throw it onto our rolls and move on to the next step, which is cooking up some eggs. Alright, so took the meat out, threw it on our bun, and set it aside. Now we need to fry up our eggs. So obviously the pan's still dirty and everything, which is fine. We're going to use some of that meat fat to actually cook the egg just to make sure it's not going to stick. Alright, so I'm going to cook 3 eggs here, and that's because Christina wants 2 of them. I happen to not like a lot of egg on mine. In fact, when I was younger, a lot of times I wouldn't even have the egg. We just do tail ham and cheese sandwiches. Alright, so I mean, this is pretty much pan frying an egg. Make them any way you want it, but in this case for the sandwich, it's nice to have a runny yolk, which we'll get to in a little bit when these things are done cooking. And again, total preference, but I like a little pepper on my eggs as well. Alright, so for this sandwich, it's usually an over easy egg. You do want a little bit of runny yolk. It's just nice. The bread soaks it up. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing, but if you don't like runny yolks, that's fine. Cook your eggs any way you want. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and flip these. And I'm basically just letting these cook just enough so that the whites are cooked. I still want that runny yolk. And when I throw in the sandwich, I'm going to put it on the bread side and kind of poke a hole through the middle so that the egg yolk runs out onto the bread. Sometimes when you get these sandwiches, it'll be like a little bomb in there and you go take a bite and it just squirts everywhere. Egg yolk stains. It's horrible. Plus you want to eat it. You want it on your sandwich. You don't want it running down your shirt. Alright, so pro tip, when you throw your egg on your sandwich, make sure you pop the little bubble of wonderful egg yolk so it can run all over the sandwich and not you. Alright, so the eggs are done. Go ahead and pop this on a sandwich carefully. Get this out of the pan here. And again, just kind of give that quick little poke to make sure that it's going to get all over the bread there and not squirt out the side. Alright. Grab this other egg. Christina generally likes less meat. I like it, you know, extra meaty. So in this case, she's just getting an extra egg, but I'm getting more meat. So that's pretty much it. Close and enjoy. That is a Jersey breakfast tail ham, egg, and cheese sandwich. Everyone has their preference in how they make it. Some people like it on a hero with a, you know, it's obviously just a bigger sandwich. Some people, again, like the salt, pepper, ketchup. The brand of pork roll, again, I prefer tail ham brand, but it's all good. They do taste just slightly different if you get a different brand. But the fresher the roll, the better. Some people like this on a bagel. I tend to think that's a little much. If I have a bagel, I just have butter or cream cheese or something. But yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. If you've never had pork roll or tail ham brand pork roll, it is delicious. I highly recommend it. But anyone from New Jersey or has ever visited New Jersey knows all about the tail ham, egg, and cheese sandwich. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.